Hi, and thanks for joining us here at Rose Quartz Mediumship for this September 2024 tarot message. Today, we are going to be using the Light Seer Tarot deck and the Mystical Shaman Oracle. Both of these decks are my favorite. If you haven't already, check out our energy update for the month of September 2024. That is also held right here on YouTube. So whenever I'm shuffling, there's always kind of a message there for me about the way that the cards feel inside of my hands. And what I will say is that it feels like there's something in the shadow aspect that we are really focused on. And as I'm saying that, it feels like maybe we are focused on something from the past. And instead of processing it and moving on, we're allowing it to be something that rattles through our mind on repeat, that is constantly coming up for us. And when we focus on the quote unquote negative, rather than focusing on all of the beauty that we have in our life, it really does have an impact on our lives. So if you're somebody who believes in law of attraction and you spend so much of your time, so much of your mind space focusing on something from the past that didn't go the way that you wanted, or that you're struggling to let go of, then you are attracting back things at that same frequency and that same vibration. If you are constantly agitated, if 20 times a day you are having this memory come through your mind and you're focusing on it, and you are focusing on all the things that didn't go the way that you wanted them to, where they didn't say what you wanted them to say, or they didn't behave the way that you wanted them to behave, they didn't move through the world in the way that you wanted them to move through the world, then all you're really doing from a law of attraction standpoint is attracting things at that same frequency. The best thing that you can do for yourself is to lovingly release it. Let it go. That wasn't for you. It made this version of you, and that's a beautiful thing, but it wasn't for you, or it would still be in your reality. And so can you let it go? I think sometimes we are so focused on the things that happened to us in the past that maybe we fail to recognize that they are just shaping the version of us who we are meant to be. And if we allow our awareness and our thought patterns to constantly go back to that old dynamic, all that we're doing is reinforcing that in our reality. All right, and we're going to pick one from the Mystical Shaman Oracle deck. That I already pulled once tonight inside of our Facebook group, so we'll see if it comes back again. Ooh. September is going to be delicious. One of the things that I love about the month of September is that it feels like the liminal places in life. You know, the space between night and day, whether it be dusk or dawn. Have you ever gone to the edge of the woods and been at the edge of a meadow and woods? There's something really magical about that space. And I'm going to talk about that in the energy video as well. But September very much feels like that for me. It's the space in between. It's the space between summer and adventure and play and community and connection and our energy being out and intense, it's very much the energy of the south. And then when we head into the fall, it is a state of transition, right? And I feel like the month of September feels like that for me. It feels like that liminal place between summer and fall, where we're not really in fall, but we're not really in summer. And we have these cool mornings, and they're crisp, and they're fall-like. And at the same time, we have summer in the middle of the day. So the month of September is always a magical month for me. There's something that I like very much about the places between worlds. All right. So I'm going to start with our shadow deck. The shadow card, not deck. So our shadow card in this deck is the star in the reverse position. And that to me says that maybe we're having a really hard time believing that our dreams can be true. Maybe we are having a hard time connecting deeply to our desires and believing that they are possible. If you do not believe that your dreams are possible, you are not going to bring them into your reality. There's something really magical about believing that your desires picked you and that they are possible and that those things can happen, that can be your reality, that it gets to be that good. And so it feels to me like we are having a hard time believing that our desires, our dreams, the things that we want are possible. All right. So interesting. I think we will start So it feels to me like we are being pulled in two various different directions. It feels like we don't know which way we want to go with a specific situation or dynamic inside of our reality. And maybe we're having a hard time connecting to our intuition and having clarity around what direction we actually want to go. And this is the thing. You're fighting yourself. This is very much the shadow card, right? The star card in reverse. It feels like you are fighting yourself. And maybe you think you're fighting somebody else. Maybe you think that whatever situation in your reality that you are struggling with in the month of September is something or someone else. But that something or someone is just an expression of something that's happening internally for you that's unresolved. And so the message there is to really sink into the external world being a mirror of your internal healing opportunities. How can you lean into healing? How can you look at the lesson of particular situations rather than focusing on the specifics of what's happening in your reality? If there's something that's not going the way that you want, that's not feeling good, can you look at the lesson in it and look at that inside of you? It does to me feel like we need to bring in some divine feminine energy, especially when we head into fall, having more rest, more journaling, more walks, more baths, more cooking, more creativity, more intuitive exercises, more snuggles, more blankets pulled up tight up to our nose and getting the opportunity to sleep in. And it feels like self-love is something that we need to bring ourselves back to in the month of September. Really bringing in the awareness of how can I bring in more divine feminine energy? How can I bring in more nurturing? How can I bring in more self-care? How can I align with loving me? You know, I heard this really interesting concept that when we are born, it's like the universe or God gave us one human, and they said, it's your only responsibility to take care of this human for the rest of your life. And so many of us are walking around not recognizing that we're not taking care of ourselves. And if you really ask yourself, how would I take care of me if I was in charge of taking care of me right now? That is a fabulous question to ask yourself, because it really helps bring a lot of clarity to, what do I need to do for myself today? How do I want to move through this day? How do I want to be moving through the world? All right. While we needed to bring in some more divine feminine, let's see if I can find this. It also feels like maybe around home and finances, we need to bring in a little bit more structure. Sometimes we see this as we come out of celebrations in the summer, a lot of fun, a lot of activity. How do we get some control? How do we get some structure? How do we get some stability around home, around finances? Can you bring some more focus and attention, structure and stability around home and finances? It feels like that is going to give you the ability to let down a little bit more, bring in that divine feminine of rest and nurturing for ourselves. So really bringing our awareness to that balance between structure and stability, in particular around home and finances, and then around self-care. And how can we just come in the month of September? And then really remembering to celebrate yourself. In the month of September, it feels like we're going to have some things that we get to celebrate. And maybe we're going to have a little resistance to having our awareness on the celebration. Being able to say, this is great. I'm loving this aspect of my life. I get to enjoy this. It gets to be this good. Kind of the same message there with our shadow card. Are you celebrating yourself? Are you celebrating all the beauty in your life and all the positive things that are happening? And then, let's see here. The Mystical Shaman Oracle deck, we got a beautiful card, the Witness. And I'm going to read that to you guys. Okay, I'm just going to show you the card. And then I'm going to read it to you. The essence. The witness observes without engaging in any action. By cultivating inner stillness, we are able to access any situation from a higher perspective and make better decisions. When we can be present for someone else's difficulties with stillness, then they are able to truly hear them and give them better advice. That should have said, then we are able to truly hear them and give them better advice. Sometimes we can be so still that we are a mirror for the other. Then, through our presence, they receive their own answer. This is a little bit of what we talked about earlier with the card pulls. That when we can look at people in our reality as a mirror of our own internal work to be done, there is beauty in that. And simultaneously, when we can be very grounded and have our energy out with the other person who might be struggling in our reality and not be focused in on us, when our awareness is really out, we can be a beautiful mirror for them, just like the people in your reality are a mirror for you. The invitation. The witness has been by your side all along. It is now ready to become your ally. You thought you were the doer, but today you discover that things happen when you get out of the way. Witness creation unfolding before you. Change reality by finding stillness and letting your true intent reveal itself. The medicine. Acknowledge your preconceptions, ideas, and feelings about situations you are in, but resist the urge to change any of it. Do not fall back into your controlling patterns. Instead, take a few breaths and connect with the joy of not having to perform. Hold space for the world to keep spinning on its own. There's something really, really beautiful about that message about allowing, and not having to be the one who is doing. If you haven't already, checked out our energy update for September 2024. And if you haven't downloaded our free self-paced course on how to be in control of your emotions and disarm a trigger in the middle of it, then head to our website and check out that free course. We will also link it below in the description. Thanks for joining us here at Rose Quartz Mediumship.